Hi, welcome to Above Deck, a below deck breakdown podcast. I'm Sarah Goldman, a photographer and former marine biologist living in Charleston, South Carolina. With me is my college roommate and co-host, Kelly.
I'm Kelly Busby, former radio host and current volleyball mom, coming to you from my home studio in Columbus, Ohio. Together, we hosted the Socks with Sandals radio show on WFAL in Bowling Green, Ohio, and we are back again this week to discuss Below Deck and our love of all things Bravo.
We are joined by a special guest today. Dana from the I Take Bravo Very Seriously podcast is here. She's never watched Below Deck, I don't think, so we're excited to kind of get her fresh takes on this season of Sailing Yacht. Welcome, Dana.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I am embarrassed that it is the only Bravo show I don't watch, but as I'm sure you guys can understand, there are so many iterations. I don't know where to start. So I'm here to be guided by you ladies. Where do I start?
Well, we take Below Deck very seriously,
Right.
so we will guide you happily.
Thank God.
Today we'll be discussing Below Deck Sailing Yacht Season 5, Episode 3, Let the Bottles Hit the Floor.
I love that song. All right, here's your recap. Cloyce argues with the crew about how to split the bill. Emma makes a mistake when tying up the tender and struggles to learn how to drive it. The first sail causes liquor bottles to break and a music. We're not used to recording at nighttime. This is usually when my body starts to be like, no. Anyway, and it's just something we have to do this year. So anywho, the first sail causes liquor bottles to break, and a miscommunication during dinner service makes the guests wait. So Sarah, how many shackles do you give this one?
So, Dana, we have a rating system of like shackles in the water, which if you see some anchoring, you'll kind of get that reference.
Okay.
So we do 1 through 10, and I'm gonna give this one a 7 out of 10. I thought it was a decent episode, nothing
That's
like
good.
super exciting. I think the next episode's gonna be better. So, well, let's jump into what happened. So, at the beginning of the episode, Daisy and Gary are talking on the night out, and they're talking in a lot of metaphors. They're talking about corners, trains, sides, trust, carrying each other through the season, but somehow they work it out and they are laughing by the end.
This is going to be a bumpy season with them. Just
Yeah.
at least we
So
know that it's going to be bumpy with them, and we could just like
So,
have
Dana,
that
I
in the
feel like we
background.
need to give you some context on Gary and Daisy.
Cool.
So, they've
Yeah.
been
So watching them,
together
I did not know the history between them. So I'm like, you guys are gonna have to tell me, were they dating or were they best friends? That I couldn't really tell.
both. So
Okay.
Yes.
seasons 2, 3, and 4, they were on together.
Okay.
And their last season, okay, there's so much.
So
Gary
complicated.
and Daisy hooked up like a couple seasons ago, just like a 1 or 2 time thing. But then last season, she fell in love with his best friend, who was the
Oh.
engineer on the boat. And so there was kind of a love triangle. And so things were very complicated. And also, right before this season started, they filmed the reunion. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, tensions were very high. It was a very traumatic reunion. So, all of that has like just happened. So, things
And
are
they're the only two returning from last
yes,
Oh.
season besides
besides the
Captain Glenn.
captain.
And do you think
So
either of them have actual deep feelings for each other, or do you think it's all surface and they can move past this because it's just all surface level stuff?
I think the
What do you think?
problem is it goes deeper than
Mm.
I think it's because they truly do care for each other. I think
Hmm.
Gary really does have real feelings for her,
Yeah.
but they drive each other nuts. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's
They
hard.
fight and make up like all the time.
So they might not be the best match at the end of the day.
Probably not.
But great TV.
Yeah. And also Gary, he always hooks up with like every stew on the boat. So every
That was the
season.
vibe I was getting from him for sure.
Yeah.
It's just like the
He's not someone
playboy.
you want to take home to your parents, I don't think.
Right.
But he's
Noted.
fun to watch.
Okay.
Okay, so Cloyce asks the waiter to put 2 bottles of wine on one bill and then he wants the rest on the other bill. And Daisy points out, last year they all just took turns paying the bill at dinner. And he says it's not fair because he doesn't drink as much as everyone else, but everyone is okay with this plan. What did you guys think?
I saw his side of this, but I also feel like you're going to pay for one meal and then you'll get like 5 or 6 more for free. So, like, how great is that? And that, my friends, is girl math. Thank you. Thank you.
You
But
know, I actually
seriously,
had
like,
a sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
I mean, it works.
I actually had a lot of thoughts on this because this has sort of come up a lot in just regular daily life when you go to a lot of group dinners. My sister is vegetarian, and aside from that, barely eats anything. She doesn't drink. So when she goes to dinners, it's literally half a caprese salad and a water. And so she doesn't really want to contribute to the entire table when she's not doing that. So I do
Mhm.
see both sides because on one end, yeah, he's going to get all the free dinners, but girl math made me sort of think, well, what if next time no one really drank and it didn't cost that much, but this time it
Yeah.
was like 2 grand. But and then, you know, like maybe it's
Mhm.
not so even. I don't really know how it works. I'm not, you know, as part of their
Yeah.
dinners, but if every time they're really, really expensive, or if it's not even every time, I could see that being a little unfair. And then the comment about him being 22 years old, I was sort of like, yeah, he's only 22 years old, right? Like if somebody said to me at 22 years old, fork over $1,400 today for this table of food for all these people, I would be like, oh my goodness.
Like, I gotta
Yes,
go. Nope.
I
Nope.
gotta go. Pull up that anchor.
exactly.
That's right.
That's right. So Cloyce, where am I? Sorry, I lost my place.
Back to the
Oh,
boat.
okay. Back to the boat. We get Glenn watching his iPad. This has been an ongoing thing the past couple seasons where he's watching something on his iPad, and we think the producers put in some audio of like whatever he's watching just to be funny. Usually it's like eels mating or like whales mate. It's always like animals mating. Well, this time they would have us believe that it's a documentary about this island off the coast of Ibiza that has these sirens that like lure sailors in.
What do you mean want us to believe? I believe that everything that they do is very straightforward and true. There's no manipulation.
Okay, we'll go with that, Kelly. So Cloyce is still upset when he's back to the boat, and so he has to cook to like calm himself down. And he's really just feeling like an outsider. My cat is about to, yeah, he's scratching his face on my camera.
Oh my God,
Ranger.
that's so funny. I was like, what
Ranger.
is happening?
Here, let me show you the cat real quick.
Oh, Ranger.
Oh, you're such a sweetie.
Baby.
Oh, what kind of
Oh, is
cat
he
is he?
purring?
Okay, buddy.
He's
Oh,
really different looking,
Rangeroo.
like the shape of his face. Really
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah, he's 17 years old.
Oh,
Oh, is he really?
18 actually. Okay, he's gonna
18.
go bye-bye.
He can
Bye-bye.
vote. He's a legal
Bye.
adult.
Okay, so Cloyce is feeling like an outsider.
Yeah.
But then Gary comes in, he's like eating raw oysters in the galley. They have a chat, they drink some wine, and things are getting better.
This is normal for a night out, right? Like after a hard night of drinking, you just go home and like suck down some oysters and cook a little grub, the usual. Um, I have two questions about this part of the episode. One, who puts wine corks in that far? Legit. Like it was this much was sticking out. Like who does that? And two, why were they wearing their uniforms?
I don't know. That was odd. They like came home and changed into their uniforms.
I didn't
Maybe
even
they
I was
don't have
very
notice.
any
confused. Like I
casual
said, it doesn't
clothes.
take much, but
Dana, what usually happens when they get back to the boat is they're all so drunk and they just start pigging out on leftovers and like eating ramen noodles
in
and
bed.
getting in the hot tub. So this was like a very tame night
And
for
maybe
Chloe.
for Cloyce, because he is a cook, it's is the thing that calms him, it's the thing that soothes him. Well, for us, it's like work, right? But for him, it's like
Yeah.
fun.
If that was
You
my
gotta do
job, that would be the
dishes?
last thing I'd want to do
Right.
for fun.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So weird. So Davide climbs butt naked over Glenn into the top bunk.
Wowza.
Wouldn't you put
Um,
some clothes on if you were sleeping in the captain's room?
you better hope no alarms go off in the middle of the night because that's going to be awkward. Excuse me, Glenn. Pardon me, Glenn. Just never mind. Just as you were.
Yeah. So Gary, Cloyce, and Keith go up top and they have a little boys' night. And Cloyce says the classic reality TV line, "I'm not here to make friends." He's a lone wolf. This goes back to like Survivor days.
Does
And
it
so
really?
finally he's bonding with the boys.
Do you kind of feel bad for him because he's very much the youngin of the group, right? He's the baby of the group this
Hmm.
season, I think. Um, but he's such a old soul because he's already lived an entire life, it seems like. So, um, I think I could see him trying to go after Daisy though. Even though he says he's going to be playing hard to get, I see it. I see it. maybe.
Yeah, I could see she has a few too many to drink and her getting a little frisky with Cloyce one night. We'll have to see.
Wait, what's the age difference between Daisy and Cloyce?
She's early to mid 30s, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
So roughly
Probably
10
like at 10
years,
years, yeah.
10, 12 years.
For
But
a
she always
hookup.
says young deckhands and young boys on yachts, they just love her.
Okay.
But he is not her type. Okay, the
Mm.
next day, we have a preference sheet meeting. The primary is Amy, a realtor from Texas with her daughters and some close friends. They want to have a paella dinner with like a boho island evening. And then they want to have this like floating lounge oasis, followed by an under the sea night.
A beef and reef menu. How cute is that? Beef and reef?
I didn't
Love
even
it.
hear that. That's really funny. I like that. So Glenn mentions this island called S5E3, this mystical island that has mermaids, and he wants to hire a couple mermaids to come out.
I love this. I love this so much. And I hope that they're there before they get there. So they just appear to be like living on the island. I'm pretty impressed though that Captain Glenn's getting into it with this group. Maybe he was watching things about mermaids.
I know, could be. So the boat ends up going to another spot and they anchor, and the guests are going to be shuttled out there. And Deanna is going to be on dinner service this charter, and that makes Danny not happy because she knows she'll have to clean the cabins. You know, Danny, who is a friend of ours, she
Yeah.
should have been a deckhand if she didn't want to clean cabins. That's just like a huge part of the job.
Okay, what's the
Yeah.
cabin? Isn't that just the room? That's not
The
so bad.
guests' rooms. So like the guests, there's I don't know how many rooms do you think? Four, maybe?
Probably
Four
four.
guest cabins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Including the bathroom.
Yeah, in the
Yes.
Okay,
bathrooms
fair enough,
too.
fair enough. Okay.
And so here's the other thing too. So on these episodes with charter guests, they'll take their luggage, like the crew will take their luggage into their room, and then the stews will unpack them. And so Sarah and I have already talked about like if that is ever us, if we ever are fortunate enough to walk anywhere near one of these boats, they will not be allowed to touch our clothes because
Yeah, would you want someone to unpack all your luggage, like your underwear and
No,
everything?
that's actually so creepy. Like the idea of it at first. Okay, cool. Yeah, you're gonna unpack for me. I love that. But wait, you're gonna touch my underwear and my bras? That's super weird. I don't like that idea.
my socks. No, thank you.
Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, Ramona Singer, that was her thing. She always
Right.
wanted the help to unpack for her.
Yeah.
So interesting. Well, Gary takes the deckhands to go train on like how to drive the tender boat, and Keith does really well. And then it's Emma's turn, and she's struggling. And apparently, the boat handles a lot differently than a tender that has like the engine on the back, the outboard like prop.
It seems like you have to do the opposite of what you want to do to make
Mm,
it do what you need it to do, if that
yeah, it
makes sense.
does.
I don't
It's
know.
if you've ever trailered something like trailered a boat, trailered, you know, you turn and you're like, it's the reverse. It's
Yeah.
you like turn to the right to make the
Mhm.
trailer go to the left. So it's like the opposite. So maybe it's like that, which would be
Yeah.
very confusing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the guests get picked up, and I'm thinking, why did they request to join the boat at anchor? Because it means you don't get to do that slow-mo dock walk looking fabulous, and you have to struggle onto that floating thing to get on the boat. And it's a no for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking the same thing. And here's the other thing. You have to ride the little small boat out to the big fancy boat, and no
Mhm.
one sees you getting on the big fancy boat. They only see you getting on the little small boat.
Yeah.
So, and I would be totally acting like Wayne's World, like with the creds when they're backstage at the Alice Cooper concert, like sneak backstage, backstage. That's our boat. That's our boat. That's our boat. That's what I
Yeah,
would be
that's
doing.
my
But
boat.
that's my boat.
That's a really good point. Okay, now it's time to go sailing, and things are starting to slide. Dana, this is very normal. Like things are always breaking when they go sailing. They never have enough time to secure everything. Glass is breaking, liquor bottles. The guests are like sliding across the deck. How's this happen every darn time?
I mean, I would expect the sliding around because it does happen, but the bottles breaking is a new one for me. And the flashback they did of to Daisy telling them that the door doesn't always close, but it should be
Hmm.
okay. I
Mm.
think it definitely needs fixed now.
Yeah, I think so. Even Daisy in the laundry room, she had like an iced coffee in a glass and like that. I'm like, Daisy, why do you have that? Like, let's get a water bottle with a lid, you know?
It's
I wonder if
dangerous
they
at the
don't,
end of the day.
yeah, I wonder if they don't tell them that they're getting ready to heal
Historically,
or something.
Glenn gives them like, I don't know, 2 minutes heads up to secure
Yeah,
everything on the boat.
Oh,
So,
so it's Glenn's fault.
it is.
yeah, Glenn, and he loves to sail. Like, he loves it. So, anyway. So Danny loves being very artistic, and she's going to be decorating the table for this boho dinner. And Daisy tells her the tackier, the better.
Yikes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Emma is taking a smoke break while the tender is banging into the side of the boat, and Gary hears it and runs down there. And it turns out she didn't tie the line properly. This was
Things are
bad.
not looking good for her.
I know. I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So Danny is getting upset about putting her name on this like tacky decor situation. And it seems like she's maybe upset about something else.
Yeah.
And Daisy is trying to like smooth things over with her and says, like, don't overthink it. Just forget I said anything. This was kind of an odd moment.
I'm
I
hoping
feel
she's just tired.
I feel
Yeah.
like Daisy had to explain what the word tacky was just by sort of using different adjectives to say the exact same thing to calm her down. It's basically
Right.
like, no, it's the same word, but here's the different word, and here's a different word to say the same word. Does that make you feel better? There we
Yeah.
go.
I know. I love how she said everything should just be over the top. Think American 4th of July, where they decorate everything. So I started thinking, yeah, we do that, don't we? But so Sarah, when Daisy was in Charleston in July, was she there over the 4th?
She was here for the 4th, but the boat, I don't know exactly what she did for the 4th. They probably watched the fireworks like from the
Yeah.
dock because it's right there where they shoot the fireworks off in the harbor. But I know the boat, they made sure to get off the water before because
Yeah.
it's a mess out there. Lots of drunk people. You don't want to be driving a boat in the dark like to go see
Yeah.
fireworks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know exactly what she ended up doing, but I don't know.
I just
She had
wonder if
like
she got to experience our tackiness.
yeah, she's been in the US for the 4th before, so it wasn't
Okay.
her first time. I do know that.
Okay. That's good.
Okay, so it is dinner time. The primary has like a Kathy Bates vibe in a great
Yes.
way. Do we
Yeah.
think?
Yes.
Yes.
Tawanda. Yes.
Yes, to Wanda. Oh,
Oh,
by the way, well, Dana, are you a fried green tomatoes fan? Have you seen that movie?
I haven't.
Oh, it's one of
Oh,
my
I'm
all-time
sorry.
favorites.
it's a fantastic movie.
Okay, I'll get on it.
Fantastic.
That and
Yeah,
You've
yeah,
Got
yeah.
Mail, those are my like top two like comfort movies.
Okay.
I just learned that Fried Green Tomatoes was filmed in Juliet, Georgia, and that town or whatever, they left it like as is. So you can go see the Whistle Stop Cafe, you can like see the gravestones and like anyway, I think that needs to be a road trip for sure. I freaking
Hell
love that
yeah.
movie. Well,
That
Dana,
would
we're
be
giving you yet
amazing.
another assignment to watch Fried Green
By
Tomatoes.
end of day, I will have it done.
Are you done with Orange County yet, by the way?
I'm
Seasons
not.
1 through
I got a little
16.
busy. I got a little busy, but yeah, I will get there. I promise. I promise.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so dinner. We have the paella, seafood. The guests are very happy. And Daisy is clearing and she tells Emma to tell Cloyce to start plating dessert. But dessert has to warm up for 8 minutes. And so the guests are waiting. And I mean, I should have gone back and watched this again, but wasn't she was down in the galley when she said, like, we're gonna start clearing. I don't understand why he didn't know that they weren't clearing.
Yeah. Well, and Emma told him, hey, they're ready for desserts.
Yeah.
And he just said, okay. And just, I feel like this lack of like attention and being in his own world, I think he's feeling a
Hmm.
little siloed. Um, I think that's going to be an ongoing theme for this
Yeah.
season.
He must have needed like a more like Cloyce, we are clearing, like get the desserts. I don't know. He needed more. I don't know, because I thought it was pretty clear. And then, like Daisy said, there's all these dirty dishes that are being brought in. Where do you think those are coming from? It means we're
Yeah.
clearing. So
Well, he did not like the fact that a deckhand was telling him that he needed to get started on
yeah,
it.
I
That
kind
was
of
his
get
big,
that. She just should have done a radio, but she also was down there like a few seconds before. I don't know. So
who knows?
they did say that the bread pudding was the best they'd ever had, apparently worth the 25-minute wait. And Glenn asks Daisy about the timing and tells her, you know, I want you to say something to Cloyce. So I'm sure that's not going to go great.
Yeah,
Would
I
that
can't
be her
imagine this going
job? I
well.
wasn't really sure if Glenn was trying to like pass it off on her because he didn't want to.
Yeah.
That's something I still have to learn about what everybody's like roles are, roles and
It's
responsibilities. Not
very
quite
like
clear.
hierarchical. This is the
Hmm.
thing about yacht chefs is there, and maybe chefs in general, very temperamental. And if you like damage their ego or the captain
Mm,
has to like say something to them, it can
It's
just
over.
really ruin them mentally where they can't get their head in the game and like they shut down. So I know Glenn, he didn't want to say anything because that would mean more coming from him. Like, you're
mm.
bad at your job, you know?
Right. Right.
So
I can't
yeah.
imagine this going well. I hope Glenn, though, is on the other side of the wall to listen.
Yeah.
But I do think, because I think that the three of them are the head of departments, right? Glenn is
Yeah.
their boss, and then so I feel Glenn should have said something to Cloyce. But again, he has already said something to him because he was late or screwed up dinner the night before. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lose-lose.
That's true. You just these chefs, they have to be handled with kid gloves.
That's
So,
so annoying, especially because there's people with such different types of personalities and roles
hmm
and what they need. So it must be so hard as the captain to cater to everybody's particular personality, let's say.
totally. And the chief stew chef relationship really is like the most important relationship on the boat. And so many times they butt heads. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like really important to keep a good relationship.
Got it.
So the boys are talking in the giggle room, giggle club. Is that what it was called last year?
Yes.
And
Yes.
Gary asked the boys who they would be interested in. And Cloyce is intrigued by Daisy, but his plan is to be, you know, hard to get. And Gary in his read
Naturally.
screen says he has never met anyone like Cloyce. He's 22, he wears cufflinks, and he combs his hair 3 times a day.
Oh, Gary. So much could be said, but I won't say it. But I will say he did smell very nice at BravoCon in 22. I
By the
will
way,
forever go back to that.
Can you
Kelly
confirm,
likes to
Sarah?
smell Bravo celebrities. I never think to do this.
They give me hugs and I want to smell them. I don't
I
make it
love you.
weird. They're never going to let me hug anybody ever again.
No.
They're going to be like, stay, crazy
Dana,
lady,
you
stay.
haven't been to a BravoCon before, right?
No, but I am excited to meet you guys in person if you're going to be there.
I know that's going to be so fun. We will be there regardless, but Kelly will make sure that we get tickets. Okay, so the next day, Floatopia day. I really like that word, Floatopia. Gary is
Yes.
scouting out a spot for the floats. I thought they were just going to be tying them off the back of the boat. I didn't realize they had to like haul everything to like a little nook and cranny over on the
Yeah.
sea cliffs. So he asks Emma to inflate everything and then tie it all together. And she kind of gets a few things out, but then Gary finds it's about like 50% done when he gets back.
I just wonder if she didn't hear him completely or if she didn't know what to do or if she had a squirrel moment because we've all had them. I couldn't imagine what it takes to focus on a boat.
Yeah, I don't know. So Cloyce is trying to figure out how he can go to Floatopia and make lunch. And he offers to help with the floats, kind of to get himself over there. And
Mhm.
he's in his swim trunks. He's having a great time over there.
What was that? I mean, seriously, he didn't even have his uniform on. He was like, I am here to party. This is not going to end well.
I don't think we've ever seen this. Like the chef, they barely get any fresh air, let alone get to like go on an excursion or something. And also, he didn't ask permission, didn't ask the captain.
Well, this is where his age, I think, is showing, where he's
Yeah.
not really thinking about his responsibilities. And that's why Glenn is like, what does he think he is out there having fun and like playing
Mm-hmm.
around with the guests? He needs to be in here cooking.
Right.
Absolutely.
So the guests head on over. Such a cool spot. The guests are snorkeling,
Pretty.
they're having a ball. And Gary suggests that he take Cloyce back. And Cloyce says, well, you know, I don't need to go back necessarily. And it's like an hour and 20 minutes until lunch. Cloyce is like serving wine to the guests.
And Deanna is not happy
Yeah,
either. I know he was just trying to help, but she is like, why am I here? I could be doing other things.
right. So it's 45 minutes now until lunch. Glenn is wondering where Cloyce is. So then they cut to Cloyce hanging off of Keith's shoulders and like riding one of those little water scooters. And Glenn finds out where he is. He's like, get him back here now. And the next episode looks so good. We have the
Yeah.
Mermaid. We're going to have a night out that looks pretty great. And Cloyce is going to be scrambling to get this lunch ready. And I have high hopes for the next episode.
I
It
will be
looks like it's
tuning
going to
in.
be good.
So Dana, how was your first like below deck viewing experience?
It was pretty good. It was definitely difficult to remember everyone's names and
Oh yeah.
personalities and that kind of thing. I will be honest, I watched the episode 3 times, which is typical for me in my regular Bravo shows when I'm
Hmm.
preparing. But it didn't stick, I would say, necessarily the same way my other shows do, just because I have the history. But I
Yeah.
definitely like it and I like the potential of it because, as you ladies know, Vanderpump Rules is my bread and butter, and it's a
Hmm.
workplace show. And to me, the reason it works is the friendships, the fights, the arguments, the sleeping together, the cheating, all of that. And Below Deck gives you all of these things. So I don't know why I've been missing out this whole time, but it seems like right up my alley.
Definitely. Well, if you do go back and watch, I would recommend starting with Sailing Yacht season 3, 2 or
Okay.
3.
Okay.
Season 1 has a different cast, except for Captain Glenn. So really, season 2 really gets going,
Mhm.
and season 3 and 4 are like so good.
Can't wait.
And then Below Deck
Okay.
Down Under has a very hot captain called Captain
Jason?
Dreamboat.
We
Captain
call him
Jason?
Captain Dreamboat. His real name is Jason Chambers, but we call him Captain Dreamboat.
Yeah.
I engaged with him a little bit online, maybe like a year ago when he and Ashley were maybe interested in each other. This was
Okay.
pre-BravoCon, and there was
Yeah.
lots of ladies who were going to be interested in him. But this
Hmm.
was when there was a little rumor out there that maybe there was a little flirtation. So
Yeah.
I had posted about them both and tagged them both in it and said like, "Ooh, are these two going to be into each other at BravoCon?" And they both responded with like, "Oh my God, LOL emojis." So I mean, obviously nothing came of it, but I'm like, yeah, Captain Jason responding was a big moment for me.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah, it got
Yes.
actually old at BravoCon how many people in interviews said like, "Well, I have my eye on Captain Jason." We're like, "Well, who
Right.
doesn't?" Like, come on. Ah, boy.
He
Okay.
still seems so humble regardless. So
Yeah, he
He's
does.
so great. He's just a great guy. Well, I could talk about Captain Dreamboat forever, but let's take a break and we'll come back with Hot Tub Combo. Okay.
All right. Hot Tub Convos where we like talk about what's in the news, kind of like you do at the beginning of
okay.
your episode.
All right. Here we go. It's time for Hot Tub Combo, where we discuss what's happening with our favorite Below Deck cast members.
So Natalia from Med is on a new dating show called Mismatch. It's on OFTV OnlyFans TV. Didn't know this was a thing. It's a
Oh,
free video platform featuring original content from OnlyFans creators. And I have to say, it looks hilarious. And I kind of want to watch and report back, but you have to download the app or like put in your, like, you have to sign up for OnlyFans, even though it's free. So I've hesitated for
Fair
obvious
enough.
reasons.
You don't really
Uh,
want that on your credit card statement for sure.
yeah, I think I might just be watching the clips on
yeah.
Instagram.
I can't imagine it being. Yeah, I don't. I don't know. Well, we'll see. So,
Yeah, I don't know.
okay, so we were guests on Dana's podcast called I Take Bravo Very Seriously. Dana, please tell everyone where they can find you on your socials and where to listen.
You can listen to the show. I take Bravo very seriously wherever you get your podcasts. And you can follow me on Instagram at the Bravo Investigator and at I Take Bravo Very Seriously.
I love it. How did
Yes.
you come up with the Bravo investigator?
I just really enjoy doing research and reading the law. It's just always been a special interest of mine, and it's been part of
Hmm.
work that I've done in the past. And so when I just started deep diving and digging into things, it just felt very investigatory. And I'm like, I love Bravo. Because to be honest with you, my Instagram account started as Brunch and Bravo. I was
Hmm.
just trying to find a name that hadn't been used already. And then a few months in, I decided to rebrand, and I'm really happy I did. I am the only one with the name. I feel like it stands out and it speaks to my brand and the page and what I'm trying to do, which is deep dive all the Bravo stuff.
I
Love
love
it.
it. Well, you do a great job. I feel like you're the perfect person to be the Bravo investigator. Like, it's great.
Thank you.
So everybody follow Dana. So Captain Glenn was in an interview when he was at the Annapolis Boat Show a couple weekends ago. It's called the Sailing Doodles podcast. I'll link it in our
I
show
love
notes.
it.
I know it's cute. So they talked about sailing yacht, of course, and lots of like sailing and travel talk. And he was the captain on Parzival for 10 years before Below Deck started filming on it. And
Wow.
he said that Capri is the most beautiful island in the world and he thinks everyone should visit. So that's just a little reminder for us.
Captain
And
Glenn said,
and I don't
I've
know
been
if this
meaning
is
to.
yeah.
Been
yeah,
meaning to go to Capri.
we'll get around to it.
Right.
We have a lot of social stuff to keep up with. Um, so one thing he did say, and I think this is more for general charter seasons than like below deck, but he said they can make more money in tips than their salary, like on Parzival. Like that's totally normal.
Wow.
So that's wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's unreal. So Dr. Contessa was the primary on the first charter this season, did an interview with Bravo Daily Dish. She said Chef Cloyce was quite adorable, but his cooking skills left a little bit to the imagination. She said some of his food was like children's food, and she didn't want to ruin the trip for everyone by being a complainer. She said it was still a yacht. It was still the ocean, so no complaints. It was a luxury from beginning to end. How grown up is that?
I know. I posted this article and she messaged us and was like, oh
Oh,
no, like I don't think she'd seen the article.
okay.
And I just said that was so classy that you like didn't make a big deal about it.
Absolutely.
So,
And she was classy when she was on Married to Med too. She
okay.
was one of the classier of the ladies on this show.
Okay. Gotcha. Poor Cloyce. I thought his food was going pretty well, but ooh, okay.
Yeah.
So Hey You Fan Fest is going on in London this weekend. Captain Sandy will be there along with like some Southern Charm folks, some housewives, and of course Andy Cohen, even though he's right here in my bedroom at the moment. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see that Andy is standing behind me. So if any of our listeners go, please report back and like let us know how this is. I'm sure it's kind of like the mini BravoCon, kind of like the Bravo Fan Fest they're having in Miami here next month. So
This is not in our list, but did you see the video footage of Andy at the Grateful Dead show? I think it was at
yes,
the Sphere.
I
Was it
did.
at the Sphere? Boy, was
maybe,
he
I don't
getting
know.
down. Like
He was like
he was in the
noodling
zone. Like he was dressed
head to
for it.
toe, tie dye.
It was amazing.
You know what? He's a hardworking man. Let him let loose. Let him have fun.
Absolutely. I
Mhm.
loved
Yeah,
it. I just was surprised. Like I was not expecting that side of Andy
Yeah.
Cohen. I just
it was
never
cute.
saw him as a deadhead.
Oh yeah, he talks about the dead like all the time. And John Mayer, is like dead end friends. So and they're
Yeah,
like
that's true.
BFFs.
Captain Dreamboat was in Australia recently promoting Below Deck with Hey You. Whitney Rose and Heather Gay were there too. Wonder if Heather flirted with Jason.
I'm sure she did. I could
How
see
can
that.
you not? Like he's just so handsome and sweet.
Yeah. It looked like they
Like,
had a lot of fun together. I'm glad he's like making more housewives friends and stuff. So at BravoCon he'll know more people.
yeah, he's getting more comfortable too with the fame.
Yeah, for sure. So Ellie and Chase were hanging out in Fort Lauderdale this week. So Chase was on Sailing Yacht last season. He was a
Yeah.
deckhand. And then Ellie was on a couple seasons of Med as a stewardess. So they went to Waffle House together and like got waffles, but I guess they had to do carry out because they were like eating waffles in the car. They went out to like a fancy dinner. I don't know that it was like a date, but it was very cute and it was fun. But Chase is down in Fort Lauderdale working on his like yacht masters or whatever. Like he needs to like bosun or first officer on like bigger boats.
That's what it's called, Yacht Masters.
I think so.
I love that. I want to put that on my resume. Yacht Master 2024 to present.
I love it.
Is Chase going to be in Fort Lauderdale next week?
Ooh,
Next
that's a good
weekend?
question. I will message him.
Because we will be in Fort Lauderdale
I
next
know. I
weekend.
didn't even think about that. I thought he'd be back in Charleston.
We're going to go to the pool and I am going to blind people with my paleness. I am so excited.
Yeah, next week is the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. So like big yachts, power boats. We've never been to it before. There's usually a lot of below deck captains and a lot of like Fort Lauderdale is the kind of yachting hub of the United States, really.
Okay.
So, a lot of
Yeah.
yachties like live in that area. So
So
we're hoping to
you're
see
doing
a
some
lot of
yachty sightings.
below deck friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
that
So we'll
sounds so
see.
So,
exciting.
yeah, yeah. So we heard from the horse's mouth that there will be no screeners for Sailing Yacht this season. So our new schedule will be record on Tuesdays and our episodes will come out on Thursdays. So thanks for bearing with us. We'll get them out to you as soon as we can.
Yes, exactly. Sad about that, but it is what it is.
Day
Oh,
jobs, they get in the way.
I know. It's time for our segment, Join Me in the Wheelhouse, where we decide who needs to see Captain Glenn for a stern talking to. So, Dana and Kelly, who behaved badly and you would like to have them called up to the wheelhouse to see Captain Glenn in this episode?
I'm gonna say
Who do you
Cloyce.
think,
I'm
Dana?
sorry, the man kept screwing up this episode. He wasn't taking
Yeah.
his job seriously, and you
Yeah,
gotta take Bravo very seriously if you want to stick around, right? So
that's right.
I think this man needs a talking to, especially because we're early on. There's still time to sort of fix behaviors before it gets too bad and he ends up getting fired. So let's just nip this in the bud early on. Can you pay a little more attention to the food and your
Your
work
job.
as opposed to, yeah, your job, not, and a little less to the guests. And I think we'll be okay, but we'll see sort of how that would go.
Yeah, it's
That's what I was
easier
going
to
to say.
replace a deckhand or a stew.
I'm a
It's harder to
chef.
replace a chef for obvious reasons. There's only so many of them, like with the training that are available and not on another boat or so
Yeah.
it's yeah. So I hope he can get it together. I find him to be very fascinating and just like a great cast member in general.
Yes. Yes, yes,
Well,
yes.
Dana, thank you so much for joining us. We'll do our little wrap up, but this has been so fun and we loved being on your podcast over the weekend.
Yes,
And
thank you.
thank you for letting us put it on our feed here. And yeah.
It's been so great chatting with you ladies, and we should definitely do it again, especially now that I am going to immerse myself in the Below Deck universe. We're going to have to keep talking. I'm going to have a lot of
Okay.
questions. So we're going to have to keep chatting and we're going to have to keep being friends, whether or not you're
Thank,
interested or not. So
yeah,
We're definitely
absolutely.
interested. We'll stick around for just a second. I'll do the ending. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Above Deck. Thank you to our team at Hurrdat Media, especially Grace. Please subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to tell a friend, and please rate and review us 5 stars only.
Please follow us on Instagram at abovedeckpod, and you can email us at abovedeckpod@gmail.com. You can always watch our episodes on the Hurrdat Media YouTube channel. And until next time, I'm Kelly Busby.
And I'm Sarah Goldman. We'll see you next week. Ta-da!
that's great.
Hey.
I love being part of other people's recordings so I can see how other people are doing it.